Welcome back to Mentally Golf. This is my opportunity to try to help the average golfer and maybe even some of the better golfers, and really talk to those of you who are just new to golf. Anyway, I started off talking about, do I even want to be a golfer, cheap ways to find out, cheap ways to get clubs, how to get free lessons, right? Asking friends, people who don't really call themselves professional golfers, have a lot of advice. And now I want to talk about the actual clubs that you use. So why do I have so many clubs? Oh my God, how many am I allowed to have? How many do I have? It's a penalty if you go out there and you have too many clubs. So the rule of thumb is, or not the rule of thumb, the rule of golf is, you are allowed 14 golf clubs. Typically that's your putter, some wedges, some short irons, mid irons, and long irons, your woods, and or hybrids. Now, those are the big categories that we'll talk about. So let's get started. If you're new to golf, you're going to look at these clubs and go, what are they? Well, the first group here, these are your woods. That's your driver, which is your 1 wood. You might also have a 2 wood, 3 wood, 5 wood, 7 wood, 9 wood. I've seen all the way down to 13 woods for some older golfers. Then you have your long irons. Your long irons are going to be your 2 iron, your 3 iron, 4, 5. In my case, I like to consider 6 my long irons, and those are the ones that I'm going to hit from a long distance. Then I have my mid irons, which are going to be my 7, 8, and 9. That might be from 150 yards to 130. Then I have my wedges or my short irons, and these are going to be my gap wedge, my pitching wedge, my sand wedge. Different lofts for different people. I personally like to have a 48-degree pitching wedge, a 52-degree gap wedge, and then a 56 sand wedge. I don't use a 60-degree. And then you have your putters, and my favorite being the Hillbilly putter. That was something that I got as a gift one year. But you'll see that you have long putters like these belly putters, and then you have standard length putters. They come with different size heads. I prefer the smaller ones, but everybody likes their own type of putter. So that's the putters. Those are all the different clubs you're going to have. Now let's look a little closer. On your wedges, you're going to see here, some of them will have numbers on them, like I said, a 52 or a 56 or a 60. These are your sand wedges, probably 56 to 60 are sand wedges, and that's going to be for in the sand and around the greens. And you have your gap wedges. But what you'll see here on the sand wedge and the gap wedge, pitching wedge, they're a lot more lofted. So the ball will go higher and not quite as far. You can see that from this club here. Then you have your mid-irons. That's going to be, again, your 7, 8, 9 iron. Not quite as lofted, goes a little bit further, not quite as high. And then you have your long irons, which are even less lofted and go even further, right? So a 3 iron might go 190 yards. So those are the irons. And then with the woods, you're going to have the same concept. You're going to have your drivers, which are going to be fairly straight up and down. Mine is a 9-degree. This isn't mine, but that is one. And then you'll have 3 woods and 7 woods. Here's a 7 wood. You can see the loft. So why so many clubs? The reason is each club is going to go a different distance. For myself, I hit my driver maybe 230 yards on average. I hit my, I don't even carry a 3 wood. I choose not to. You can pick and choose which clubs you want to carry. I hit my 7 iron maybe 190, 200 yards. I'll hit my 7 iron 150 yards pretty much. And then I can take 10-yard steps. So if I hit my 7 iron 150 yards, then I might hit my 6 iron 160 yards, my 5 iron 170, right? The lower the number, the further the club should go. If you swing right, right? So that's a big if. But anyway, let's take a look at what a full bag looks like. So let's look at this full set of clubs, right? I now have my clubs out in front of me. I have my driver, which is my 1 wood. That is probably a 9.5 degree driver. I have a 5 wood, a 7 wood, and 3 hybrid. The 3 hybrid is a cross between a 3 iron and a wood, and you'll see it's a 19 degree. I have my 4, 5, 6, 7. The 4, 5, 6 are what I use. I consider my long irons, 7, 8, 9, my mid irons, my wedges, and then my putter. So that's what my full set of club looks like. Yours doesn't have to look the same. You could mix and match brands. You can mix and match clubs. You don't even have to carry a driver. I played a long time, and I'll talk about that in an upcoming episode where I teed off with the 4 iron the whole time and ended up winning a tournament. Anyway, That's what a full set of clubs would look like in a bag. Okay, so now let's dive in a little bit more on what these clubs do. So when I showed you my bag and I showed you these clubs, the first thing we looked at were woods, right? The number one wood, my driver. That is the one that I'm going to hit off the tee most of the time, if it's a par 4, if it's a par 5. Now, sometimes I may choose to hit a 5 wood or a hybrid or something else because of positioning on the golf course. We'll get into that more when we get more into the mental aspects of golf and, you know, how strategy works, playing the course, things like that. So I'm going to hit my driver off the tee most likely. Then once I get out in the fairway, if it's a par 5, that's a long hole. That is a hole where you're expected to take 3 shots to get on the green and then 2 putt. So keep in mind there's 3 holes. There's a par 3, a par 4, and a par 5. All of them allow 2 putts. So if you work backwards and you say it's a par 4, I'm allowed 2 putts, that means you're allowed 2 shots to get there. So back to what I was saying, if it's a par 4 or par 5, it's probably long enough where you're going to hit your driver. You're going to then pick one of your irons. You may hit a 3 wood, you may hit a 5 wood, you may hit a mid iron, depends what it is. I've had holes, short holes, 330 yards, 340 yards, where I'm going in with a wedge, or I might be going in with a 9 iron or an 8 iron. Then I've had other holes where I'm hitting a driver off the tee, and then I'm following up with my 5 wood, because that's what I hit second longest, right? And I have a long way to go. But one thing, mental golf. I'm always thinking about how far away I am from the hole. What you're going to learn is that's very important. Anybody could recover from a bad drive, but it's harder to recover from a bad second shot. The reason I say that, if you hit a bad drive, it's going to go on the fairway or the rough. If it goes in the rough, you could still get it on the green in 2. Whereas if you miss that green in 2 from wherever you're at, then the odds of getting a par are less likely. And we'll talk more and more about, beginner golf versus more advanced golf and concepts. So now I've hit my driver, I've hit my irons. Maybe I'm hitting a sand wedge because I'm inside of 90 yards, or maybe I'm hitting a pitch and wedge because I'm at 125, whatever it might be. Once I get on the green, then I'm going to use my putter. Now, we talked about the different wedges. One of them I called a sand wedge. It's not always used in the sand. In fact, I use my sand wedge a lot around the green. It does not have to be in the sand. If I'm 20, 30, 40 yards away, I'm very, very comfortable finessing a sand wedge onto the green. Whereas if 90 yards, I may go to a gap wedge and just, try to hit that a little bit easier, because I don't want to force a club. Again, mental golf. Try not to swing too hard. Try not to take shots that you're not capable of, right? And when I say not capable, as a new golfer, you're not capable of a lot. So keep your head down, swing easy. If you're a more advanced golfer, you know what your distances are, and we'll talk about that as well. How do you determine what your distances are for every club? Anyway, I hope you like this segment. I will be following this up with some GSA. So this is my concept, golfer service announcements, and it's going to be 30-minute clips or less of how to keep the game going, how not to be the guy that nobody wants to play with, how to learn the rules, how to do different things. Pace of play is very, very important. Learning the rules is very important. Etiquette is very important. So you look for those GSAs. They're going to come intermittently between my regular videos. Thank you. Okay, so just to finish up, again, a reminder, you have your drivers, that's one set of clubs, and not drivers, your woods, and that includes your driver, your 3 wood, all the different woods. You have your hybrids, which I did not put out here, but that's also, again, crosses between irons and woods. You have your long irons, your mid irons, your short irons, and then you have your putters. If you like this video and you like what you hear, please subscribe. This is going to help us. And leave some comments. Let me know what you want to hear about. Let me know what I might have got wrong. I'm not above admitting being wrong, and really looking for your help. Thanks.